They said it would be the biggest transformation that Monmouth County has seen in decades, and some even whispered that it could tear out the spirit of a once proud military landmark. The moment Netflix announced its plans to roll into the historic Fort Monmouth site, critics and admirers alike wondered if this would be a story of sweeping cinematic change or reckless overreach. Will this massive project send a cultural shockwave through the Garden State, or will it usher in a golden age of film and television production right here on the hallowed grounds of a former United States Army base? Today, we are peeling back every layer of this intriguing development to see why so many are talking, cheering, arguing, and speculating about the future of entertainment right in the heart of New Jersey. We will uncover exactly how Netflix's $903 million might reshape these acres, what hidden challenges lurk beneath the excitement, and whether local voices will be heard when the dust finally settles. Picture it: an old Army installation, established in the early part of the 20th century, and long known for its groundbreaking contributions to communications technology, suddenly reverberating with the hum of film crews, stage lights, and star-laden sets. That is precisely what Netflix has promised for Fort Monmouth, a place that was once so crucial to military innovation that it sent radar signals to the moon decades ago during Project Diana in the 1940s. Now, the talk is about sending the brightest stars of Hollywood into living rooms around the world. The project is vast. The streaming giant has laid out an ambitious plan to build 12 state-of-the-art sound stages, towering production offices, new roads, advanced stormwater systems, a hotel, a cafeteria, a helipad, water tanks for aquatic filming, retail shops, security perimeters, and even a theater. Every step has been carefully presented in a multi-phase proposal that has now cleared essential state and local hurdles. The question on many lips is, how did Netflix manage to land this mammoth deal, and why are so many eyes glued to this bold move on New Jersey soil? Let us dive straight into the heart of the matter. Netflix has long been searching for a major East Coast production hub to complement its existing facilities out west and in other parts of the world. After entering a successful bid of $55 million to acquire the enormous Fort Monmouth mega-parcel, the company set its sights on converting these 289 acres into one of its largest film and television campuses ever. According to early announcements, the base was destined to become a hive of cinematic creativity, with new and renovated buildings, cutting-edge technology, and a sprawling array of resources to accommodate just about any kind of movie or television show. At first, many local residents saw glimmers of excitement in the plan. After all, who would not be at least a little intrigued by a global entertainment leader riding in to restore an area that had been left dormant after the Army's departure? Yet, as the dust of initial enthusiasm settled, some began to question the grand vision. Could a local infrastructure, originally designed to handle the steady rhythms of an Army base, really keep pace with the demands of a modern-day entertainment giant? Neighbors started to raise issues like traffic congestion, noise from construction, and the aesthetic look of these enormous new facilities. Officials from Oceanport and Eatontown, the two adjacent boroughs bracketing the fort, found themselves juggling the hopes of economic revitalization with the responsibilities of preserving natural habitats and honoring the site's historic character. The local planning boards deliberated, sometimes with pointed questions, about Netflix's proposals for a thick concrete perimeter wall and the route by which truckloads of production equipment would enter and exit. Could the old roads handle this volume of traffic, they wondered, and what if an influx of film crews created a new strain on the local emergency services? Thankfully, many of these concerns were addressed through revised site plans and official agreements, culminating in the final endorsements needed for Netflix to break ground. Speaking of groundbreaking, that ceremony itself proved to be a spectacle. Netflix co-chief executive Ted Sarandos stood alongside the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, as demolition began on the aging buildings that once served the Army. The governor greeted the gathered crowd with a beaming smile, proclaiming that Netflix would soon elevate New Jersey to the forefront of entertainment. Cameras rolled when a wrecking ball took its first historic swing, a gesture that symbolized not just the end of a chapter for Fort Monmouth, but the start of a new cinematic era. Within moments, the world watched as pieces of the aging fort began to crumble, making way for what might become one of the most important film and TV production centers on the East Coast. Now, as that unstoppable wrecking ball continues to clear old structures over the course of a 13-month demolition, Netflix's intentions are coming into sharper focus. Before we delve deeper, let us pause on this thrilling note and take stock of your thoughts. If you find yourself as astonished as local residents about the scale of this transformation, consider showing a bit of support by tapping a like and letting the world know you are fascinated by Netflix's plans. The bigger the conversation, the more we can collectively examine all angles of a development this bold. After all, it is not every day that a giant streaming platform decides to plant its roots in a piece of land so steeped in military history. Now, on to the specifics. The project has been divided into two significant phases, each with its own set of development goals. Phase 1, spanning a zone known as the McAfee area, will see the construction of 4 sound stages, the conversion of the massive McAfee Center into studio offices and production support space, the creation of a warehouse, and the establishment of new roads and sidewalks. The sets, carefully designed for everything from big-budget action sequences to small-scale production shoots, are expected to harness the fort's existing structures in innovative ways. The second phase will push the project further, adding the remaining 8 sound stages, designing more production and office buildings, and even introducing visitor attractions, such as curated tours or interactive exhibits. Local officials have emphasized the importance of preserving historically protected sites like the old parade grounds, the Cowan Park, and the memorials dating back to the days of the Second World War. These pockets of history will remain intact amid the new film sets, forging a unique blend of nostalgia and modernity. To appreciate the scale of Netflix's plan, one must also acknowledge the significant incentives that made it all possible. New Jersey officials, including Governor Murphy, have been vehement supporters of the state's film and digital media tax credit program, which offers up to 40% in credits for approved projects. In the case of Netflix, the company stands to receive hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks, plus access to additional incentives under the Aspire program, provided it keeps the facility operational in New Jersey for a certain span of years. State leaders defend these incentives by highlighting the projected benefits: thousands of construction and long-term jobs, billions of dollars in overall economic impact over the next 2 decades, and the promise of boosting the state's reputation as a booming entertainment hub. Critics, however, argue that such deals can sometimes be a drain on taxpayer funds, especially if companies do not follow through on their commitments. But so far, Netflix appears to be pushing forward, with both local communities and state government watching closely as the first wave of demolition sets the stage for one of the largest entertainment complexes in the region. But what of the naysayers who caution that Netflix could be way over its head in this massive undertaking? After all, the platform began primarily as a DVD mailing service and then skyrocketed to streaming success, swiftly becoming a content producer of global repute. Is this enormous Fort Monmouth project more than it can chew? Or is Netflix simply reasserting its position as a pioneer in forging new creative territories? On one hand, the streaming behemoth has successfully transformed large swaths of land before. Just look at its operations in Albuquerque, where hundreds of acres are already home to sound stages, specialized studios, and backlots. On the other hand, some watchers suggest that the East Coast environment comes with its own set of quirks, not least being the seasonal weather swings that might affect filming schedules, the complexity of local regulations, and the hyper-competitive nature of film production near major hubs like New York City. Still, the promise remains tempting. Over the course of the 8-year timeline for redevelopment, Netflix aims to create a bustling environment that not only houses big productions, but also fosters educational programs, potential collaborations with local schools, and an influx of ancillary businesses, restaurants, hotels, and entertainment spots that will pop up to serve the armies of cast, crew, and support staff. Officials predict that well over 3,500 construction jobs will be generated by the project, with around 1,400 long-term positions to follow once the studios are fully operational. Governor Murphy frequently underscores how these positions will pay respectable wages and boost local incomes, while critics keep a watchful eye to ensure that large corporations do not overshadow or neglect smaller local businesses. The tension between ambition and prudence here is palpable, and it keeps everyone on edge as the project barrels forward. Let us reveal a bit about the story of Fort Monmouth itself, since the heritage is a crucial part of the drama unfolding. Dating back to the year 1917, the installation was originally known as Camp Little Silver before officially growing into Fort Monmouth. From the earliest days, it served as a nexus of scientific research and communications breakthroughs, including the invention of frequency modulation radio and subsequent leaps in radar technology. At one point, more than 5,000 civilian and military jobs bustled across the campus. Though the fort eventually closed, with thousands of roles moving to an Army facility in Maryland, it left traces of an illustrious legacy behind. Perhaps the most famous anecdote is Project Diana during the 1940s, when Army scientists at the fort successfully bounced radar signals off the moon, effectively opening up humankind's capacity to send signals into space. It is a story that resonates even today, reminding us that improbable feats can sometimes turn into proud histories. If Netflix can maintain or even enhance that aura of innovation, many hope that the spirit of Fort Monmouth's past remains intact. Now, imagine you pass through those gates a few years from now. It is rumored that Netflix may create curated tours, letting visitors glimpse behind the curtain into sets, costumes, and the dizzying array of cameras and technology used to capture the world's favorite shows. On the horizon, you see the old parade grounds, preserved as required by local historical protections, side by side with brand new digital staging areas humming with creative energy. Feel that sense of wonder? This is what local officials are counting on to fuel New Jersey's ascent as a film destination, rivaling older enclaves like Hollywood or new hotspots like Atlanta. But along with that wonder comes a range of questions. Will the site remain open enough for history buffs, joggers, and the local community to still feel welcome? Or will towering fences and tight security overshadow the open spaces that once hosted so many soldiers' daily routines? Community leaders have spent months ensuring that Netflix's development does not railroad local traditions. They want to be sure that wetlands and natural preserves around the site are protected, that the planned perimeter walls blend tastefully with the historical look, and that new roads and parking structures do not unleash traffic chaos on nearby neighborhoods. Fortnite fans or The Witcher enthusiasts might be thrilled to see Netflix invest in large-scale sets, but folks in Eatontown and Oceanport must still commute to grocery stores or pick up children from school, so the daily flow of life is a big factor. According to official statements, the studios will include secure entry checkpoints and a fairly isolated footprint, meaning that film production traffic might not always intersect with day-to-day community life. Nonetheless, the specter of hundreds of trucks hauling equipment, set materials, and star caravans in and out of the fort stands as both an economic blessing and a logistical challenge. As these details flood the conversation, let us pause once more on a high note. If these stories of massive construction, ambitious filming schedules, and historic preservation spark your curiosity, consider subscribing to stay in the loop about future episodes of Transformation. You would not want to miss out when Netflix reveals the next steps of this grand project, especially if it leads to your favorite show being filmed in your very own backyard. So, how soon will all of this become a reality? Demolition started with a ceremonial flourish, though the actual 13-month teardown is expected to push the first production activities into the latter half of the coming years. State officials have underscored that Netflix is under obligation to complete all phases within 8 years from the date of the land deal's closing. This timeline places the finish line somewhere in the year 2028 if all goes according to plan. In the meantime, watchers will keep an eye on local planning meetings, traffic studies, and the environmental impact reports that continue to shape the evolving blueprint for the campus. Supporters praise the methodical approach, pointing out that none can afford to rush a project this large, lest the local ecosystem, roads, or neighborhoods face unintended consequences. Tax credits remain a hot-button issue wherever large-scale corporate expansions emerge, and Fort Monmouth is no different. Murphy proudly touts the economic windfall that will flock to New Jersey, but critics decry the awarding of hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks, noting that sometimes big corporations benefit more than local towns. Netflix contends that the synergy created by the production hub should generate billions in revenue for local shops, contractors, restaurants, and hotels, not to mention the intangible boost in state pride. Some see it as a worthy gamble. Put up the incentives, reap the returns, and let the entire region thrive from the infusion of new money and publicity. Others are hesitant, recalling projects in other states that did not deliver on the full promise of revitalization, leaving communities to foot the bill. Here, though, momentum is strong, and many community members have pinned their hopes on Netflix's track record of building large, successful production sites. Beyond the immediate excitement, there is an undeniable sense of possibility. New Jersey has always maintained a creative undercurrent stretching back to early film history, and Netflix's arrival could well be the match that reignites that spark. The region, replete with beaches, cityscapes, suburban neighborhoods, and historical landmarks, offers film directors a versatile canvas without having to stray far from major metropolitan hubs. If the Netflix campus can efficiently tap into that variety, it could establish a brand new wave of film and TV shoots, further raising the state's cultural profile. Meanwhile, local colleges and nonprofits might partner with Netflix to create specialized training programs, thus fueling a pipeline of fresh talent. That synergy could mean more than new sets and buildings. It might reshape entire career paths for youth in the area, forging an entertainment corridor that invests long-term in the next generation. Critics remain vigilant. They highlight the broad question of whether a corporate anchor like Netflix can truly integrate with the needs and aspirations of nearby residents. Many wonder if housing costs could skyrocket as film workers migrate closer to the site, or if beloved local landmarks might be dwarfed by the glare of Hollywood-scale production. Tensions between tradition and progress are nothing new, especially when a change is of this magnitude. Yet the fort itself, with its proud history of forward-thinking inventions, like those radar signals that once bounced off the moon, seems almost destined for another chapter of pioneering. If Netflix navigates the complexities with genuine respect for community voices, the result could serve as a model for responsible development. If not, the site might become just another walled-off corporate enclave. Throughout this entire scenario, local planning boards and the Fort Monmouth Economic Revitalization Authority are trying to strike the right balance. They have hammered out precise guidelines about which historical structures must stay, what design elements should preserve the base's character, and how new construction can harmonize with older buildings. Early glimpses from Netflix's proposed designs show sleek modern silhouettes that incorporate some subtle nods to the fort's storied past. The approach signals that Netflix is mindful of local sentiments, but significant details remain to be tested when actual construction gets fully underway. Already, the forefront of demolition has claimed a few aging structures, and the site is gradually shedding remnants of peeling paint and battered windows to pave the way for crisp, modern frameworks for the future studio. One of the most compelling aspects of the project is the thought of bridging old traditions with new entertainment. Picture, for instance, a bustling film crew passing by a memorial to soldiers who once trained on these very grounds. That image encapsulates the tension and the promise of the new Fort Monmouth. Some older residents recall the daily bugle calls that once echoed across the parade grounds, while younger families now wonder if they might catch a glimpse of a Netflix star strolling through the corridor of a newly minted production building. If Netflix can cultivate genuine local involvement, perhaps by opening visitor experiences or offering glimpses into set life, that might temper some of the friction that arises when big change moves into small-town territory. It may also create brand new opportunities for local businesses to supply everything from fresh produce for craft services to specialized services for set design and costuming. Meanwhile, the conversation about job creation and economic uplift is far from finished. Elected officials are eager to see the promised thousands of construction positions and permanent staff roles come to fruition, but they also know that not every such headline manages to hold true in the long run. A successful outcome would mean stable, high-quality jobs that support families and elevate the county's economy. A less desirable outcome would see mostly short-term contract work and ephemeral bursts of construction labor, leaving behind a shell once the hype quiets down. Witnessing the early engagement of the local workforce will be telling. Should Netflix collaborate with trade schools, apprentice programs, and local unions to fill positions, that will be a sign of deeper commitment. If it relies mainly on external labor, folks may rightly question whether the community truly benefits from the growth. There is also the matter of intangible heritage. To some, Fort Monmouth is a place that brims with intangible energy passed down by soldiers, technicians, and innovators who once roamed the grounds. It is a living testament to the achievements of earlier generations who tested the boundaries of science and communications. Netflix, for its part, is no ordinary corporation, but a cultural influencer with global reach, meaning the stories it tells and the sets it builds can shape the way millions of viewers see the world. The interplay between these two identities, Fort Monmouth's legacy and Netflix's forward momentum, presents both a challenge and a rare chance to preserve the authenticity of local heritage while ushering in an innovative future. One might even picture an original documentary by Netflix that explores Fort Monmouth's role in pioneering technology, bridging the old Army base's memory with the streaming era's infinite possibilities. Supporters point out that the synergy between Netflix and New Jersey goes beyond just job numbers and infrastructure. The state's proximity to major airports and to the sprawling metropolis of New York City places it in a uniquely advantageous position. Cast and crew can swiftly travel from set to set, network with key industry figures, and host on-site filming that covers numerous scenic backdrops. Additionally, the innovative potential for new creative partnerships could see Netflix teaming up with local festivals, events, or even smaller production companies, fostering an ecosystem that thrives on creative exchange. The impetus, many believe, is to establish a pipeline that ensures New Jersey remains on the radar of producers, scriptwriters, directors, and financiers looking to strike big in the East. Yet for every prospective gain, there remains the pressing question of whether community members have adequate representation in the shaping of this new era. Throughout the negotiations, some local voices feared that property taxes might rise, local roads might deteriorate from heavy truck traffic, and small businesses could be overshadowed by the bright glare of Hollywood expansion. The planning boards in Oceanport and Eatontown wrestled with these anxieties, and while many remain optimistic, not everyone is convinced that the arrival of a global giant will be comfortable. Time will tell whether Netflix's attempts at open communication, environmental compliance, and historical respect are enough to allay the doubts of skeptics. As we draw close to the final act of this remarkable story, let us not forget the real drama is only beginning as the old Army structures come down, revealing the blank slate that Netflix will fill with studios, stages, and star power. Is New Jersey truly poised to become the future of entertainment, as Governor Murphy so confidently proclaims? Will Netflix's vow of economic revitalization for the region materialize, breathing new life into local businesses and job markets? Or will the project stall under the weight of bureaucracy, community pushback, or unforeseen hurdles? The ambition is certainly there, pouring from the pages of Netflix's site plans, from the podium of state leadership, and from the hopeful hearts of residents hungry for revival. If you have stayed with us on this deep dive, you have probably grown invested in how this cinematic tale will unfold. Let this be our gentle reminder to check back, follow, or subscribe so you do not miss out on future updates, revelations, and behind-the-scenes glimpses as the Netflix campus at Fort Monmouth moves from blueprint to reality. Every day might bring a new plot twist, a local protest, an announcement of job fairs, a major star sighting on base, or the unveiling of architectural wonders shaped by modern design. In the grand scheme of things, the story of Fort Monmouth is not just Netflix's story. It is also the story of a community that once launched radar signals to the stars. Today, it stands on the brink of launching a different set of stars, shining brightly in the form of Hollywood talent. And so, as the final echoes of the wrecking ball fade, we await the rise of brand new structures, anticipating productions that will beam from these New Jersey stages to countless screens around the planet. This once bustling Army outpost may soon find itself at the center of global entertainment, forever fusing the memory of old military brilliance with the glitz of modern filmmaking. Whether you view this grand undertaking as a triumphant revival or an audacious gamble, there is little doubt that the tapestry of Fort Monmouth, and all of New Jersey, will never be the same again.